average 8 people take their lives in Australia every day, 6 of which are men. Suicide, the leading killer of men under 55. Much of this is attributed to poor mental health and social isolation. A new organisation providing mentoring to adult men is seeking to bridge that gap. Founder of Mentoring Men, Ian Westmoreland, joins us now to talk further about mentoring men. Thank you so much for coming in tonight, Ian.
Hi, Jacinta.
We've known for a while now, those stats are not new, about the high rates of mental illness, particularly amongst young men. What do you put that down to?
I think there's been several reasons. One of them, I grew up in the village concept many years ago, where there was a lot of connection through the community, things like the neighbourhood. We were involved in a church, and there was sporting groups as well. And all of those things seem to have drifted away a bit. Also, there was a tendency towards a lot of physical exercise. Most of the guys I knew were always outside in the street playing cricket or football, but that trend has dropped away. I saw a cartoon recently that there was the cartoon showed 40 or 50 years ago a mum dragging a kid in by the ear who was out playing sport. You can imagine the discussion, come in for dinner. The cartoon was updated with the same mum dragging a kid with more weight, trying to get him out the front door, holding on to his gaming console, saying, get outside and play. I think social media also hasn't helped. I think those things combined have resulted in a loss of connection, and for men, maybe a loss of identity as well.
And men are in that position where, especially Aussie men, where they don't feel that they can be honest about that and say that they're vulnerable, especially men of your generation.
Yeah, a lot of confusion around masculinity. Real men don't cry, and there's these lies that are out there. And if I could encourage any men, it's just to be honest with their emotions and to seek help.
I imagine it's this very thing we're talking about that led you to start mentoring men. How did it come about?
Yeah, so I've been a volunteer mentor for several years now. I had a life-changing moment back in 2013 that prompted me to leave my high-paid job as an IT manager and become a volunteer mentor to kids in high schools and primary schools. And then early last year, I was mentoring a young guy in one of the local Sydney high schools. And the very first session, he shared with me that his father committed suicide. His mum was an alcoholic in and out of rehab. And he just started crying. And he said to me, Ian, help me. And after that, there was a debriefing session. And with the counsellor, I just shared, like it's confidential other than what you share with the counsellor. And she asked me, you okay? And I said, I'm okay. And she asked again, and I just started crying. And I didn't realise that was there, and I think it's this frustration that us men, we want to try and fix things. And I was flat for a couple of months after that, and I suddenly realised that I actually wanted a mentor myself. I wanted someone I could talk to who would just actively listen to me. I Googled, and there was no other mentoring organisation for men around. There's business mentoring, where you pay someone, but we call this free life mentoring, where you just help support another man through life. So that prompted me to write a proposal to establish what was to become Mentoring Men. Coincidentally, I met our local federal MP, Julian Leeser, who shared his story with me. His father committed suicide, and he was a huge supporter. He agreed to be an ambassador, and in fact this year he arranged for us to go to Canberra to meet the Prime Minister and a number of other key people on the 10th of September, World Suicide Prevention Day. There
seems to be, thank you for sharing that. That's an incredible motivation. You can see why you wanted to get behind this. There seems to be a lot of support, thankfully, for younger men and for teenagers now. We're recognising that they need our assistance, and young girls as well. But it's middle-aged men that are falling through the cracks. Why is that?
Well, I think it's even once they leave school. There's a lot of school programs like the Raise Foundation, which are great. But there was nothing after that. So I was actually after a mentor myself, and there was nothing that I could find. And I think you touched on it before. There's just this reluctance from men to get engaged, to have the confidence to seek help. I go around the community promoting our program, and often it's the women who come up. And you can see the emotion. They start talking about my husband, my partner, my father, my son, my friend, my neighbour. And they engage, and you know they're going to go home and talk to the man that they've mentioned to me. But most of the time we don't hear anything back, and it's just, that's the big issue that we've got to address. That's probably the main reason, now that Mentoring Men exists, the main hurdle we've got to overcome to get men involved in the program.
Your mentors are all volunteers, and they're not all trained counsellors. how is it then that they're able to reach these men who are struggling?
Okay, they're an awesome bunch of men from all different walks of life, from all different ages, from 21 up to 85. That they come with their own incredible strengths. So, number one, they care. Number two, they can actively listen. Number three, they've been through our own mentor training program and a lifeline course that we ask our mentors to go through. And number four, they've had their life experiences and they want to use those life experiences to help another man in that man's journey as well.
And have you seen the impact that they've been able to have with these men?
Absolutely. So we survey all the men engaged in our program at the start of the mentoring and at the end of the mentoring. And there's a number of statistics out there, but 100% of the men said they felt valued through the program. 67% said they felt better socially connected and better able to handle the loss of one or more life roles. It's interesting that the main cause for male suicide is not mental illness, it's life crises. The average rate of suicide for a man to a woman is 3 to 1. When men are going through separation, it's 12 to 1. So we see mentoring men as coming alongside these men who are going through these crises and just being there to support them.
Oh, it's just wonderful and such important work you're doing. Thank you for coming in tonight to share that with us, Ian.
Fantastic. Thank you.